Notts County Talk, back with another match preview. It's a Friday night game this week, so don't be caught out by that. It's against Wealdstone, a team that are doing very well, as Tom will go on to talk about. It's a real chance for us to sort of get a few wins together, start climbing the table, get some points together, and get some momentum, because I think at this point we really need it, sort of now or never, it sort of feels like, because we need to just get that bounce going. And after the way we went against Chesterfield, it's a real good chance to, I think, bounce into a good few results. So yeah, I'll hand over to Tom for stats and players to watch.
Moving on to the stats then for Friday's game. Now, Wealdstone have put in an amazing performance so far this season. They currently sit in 4th place on 17 points. Now, even the most avid Wealdstone fan would say to you that is well above where they expected to be. And fair play to them, because they've got some fantastic results in there as well. So they are not going to be an easy team to come up against. Notts currently sitting 12th, and we have 13 points, having played 2 games less. So all of a sudden, before the Chesterfield game, fans are looking at it that we're well out of the race, we're too far behind, and all of a sudden, we're 4 points off the 4th place side, 2 games in hand. It's not looking that bad. If we can get a win Friday night, we could actually move into the playoff places. And a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, you definitely have thought that's well out of the question. So yeah, still really positive. And when you look at the table, it's still all to play for Notts. Going into some more stats then. So Wealdstone have conceded 20 goals, which is the 2nd highest in the league, and they have scored 19 goals, which is the 2nd highest in the league. Now, we seem to be coming up against teams at the minute, i.e. Chesterfield, that are scoring loads and conceding loads. And I said in the last preview, to win the game against Chesterfield, we know we're going to concede. We're going to have to outscore them. Now, that could well be the answer to winning this game as well. They are big scorers, but they have that leaky defence. So if we really, really put pressure on them, we know Notts aren't great defensively at the minute, and we need to figure out why. But that could be a key to winning that game. So another little stat, Notts have no clean sheet in 4, but we won't talk about that. Maybe there's one coming. We don't know. So, players to watch out for. So they've got 3 players I've picked out. First one is Connor Smith. Now, he's an Irish central midfielder. You might actually remember him from that show years ago where the Football's Next Star, where they went to try and play for Inter Milan. I think he came 2nd in that, then went off to Watford, and then he's been around non-league. Actually, a lot of appearances in the Football League as well, for some quite established, decent teams in the Football League, and recently he's dropped down, but he's played 9 games this season, so he's only missed out on 1. I just think he's going to be a really interesting player to watch in the game on Friday if he does play, and just see really how he does. Next player I've picked out 2 strikers because they are a free scoring team. First one is Ross Lafayette. I hope I haven't butchered the name. He's a 33-year-old 6'2" striker, so he's going to be a handful. He's been around national leagues and non-league. He's got so much experience. He's got goals nearly everywhere he's been. He's got 3 this season. I think he scored his last time out. We're not dealing well with strikers at the minute. We saw a big striker in Tom Denton. I think it was, that scored past us against Chesterfield. We can't deal at the minute. I mean, you've got Kelly Evans marking him. You can't have Kelly Evans marking Lafayette this Friday night. So he's another one to watch out for. And finally, a man that I picked out in our pre-season prediction, who I thought would be a key member for them, and it's Moses Emmanuel. So he is 31 years old, so quite an age in front line. He's got 4 goals this season, which is the same as he got last season. But he's not really featured for a few years. He's been a bit part player for teams. I think he's gone through a few injuries. So he's not really had a great deal of consistency in his game. If you look back in the past, though, he's been a prolific goal scorer for some teams. He knows where the goal is, and you just think this season, with Wealdstone playing as well as they are, is he going to be a man that starts to find his form again after a few years out of the game?
Yeah, cheers, Tom. Now moving on to team news. Not much in the way of team news as it stands. There's not really been much news out of the club since we played Chesterfield. The only little bit that did come out was yesterday. Kyle Wotton did a video with the club, and he was sort of going into, beating Chesterfield later on, how he's doing this season, what it's like without fans. Quite an interesting watch. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch that. It's on the Twitter. I think it's on their Instagram as well, Notts County. But he also mentioned towards the end of the video that he was one of the players that caught coronavirus. Now, he said he didn't have any symptoms, so it was a bit of a shock to him. The only time he really felt like he had it was when he was going back into training and getting his fitness levels back up. He could feel it sort of, it drained his fitness and his lung capacity was lower. But it was a real interesting watch. So like I said, if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch it. But yeah, that takes me on to my team selection. Change of shape. As normal, I normally choose the 4-3-3. Obviously, me and Tom diverge on what sort of team we're going to put together. But we were pretty firm on this because we've got the same beliefs in sort of Rodriguez and Sam. I'm not going to give too much away. 4-4-2. In goal, Sam Slocum. Picks himself. Right back, Richard Brinley. Again, for me, he's a firm starter now, I think. You look at his performances, you know, they've not been outstanding, but he's been one of the sort of levelled out performers where he's not had a bad performance, but he's not had a great performance. He's just sort of been that mediocre player that you do need in your squad, really. Centre backs, we went for Rawlinson and Graham. Now, obviously, we've not included Turner there for sort of what we felt like obvious reasons. Graham, we really feel like he needs a run of games now. When you look at the centre backs we've got to choose from, I know Lacey's picked up a bit of a niggle. Not too sure when he'll be back. Give Graham a go. Let him have a few consecutive games, get some momentum going, get some performances going, and see where you get him. Because towards the end of his loan spell last time, when he obviously left with injury, he was playing really well. And Rawlinson also, let's hope he can regain the form that he had at the back end of last season. Well, from Christmas onwards, really, he was very good. So yeah, Rawlinson and Sam Graham centre backs. Left back, Kelly Evans. I heard Ardley say that McCrory is sort of fighting for his place, but I just think Kelly Evans is. I just feel like he's that player you need in your team. He's gritty. He's prepared to get stuck in. He'll jump up to a 6'5" man to try and get a header off him, and sometimes it pulls off. You know, he's really not frightened to get stuck in. So Kelly Evans left back, right mid, Cal Roberts. Say no more really. Left mid, Ruben Rodriguez. Now, if it weren't for Ruben Rodriguez coming on as a sub against Chesterfield, I think we'd have lost that game. He really changed the game. I know I say it a lot, he needs to start. I think Ardley needs to start starting him regularly. He needs to be one of the regular starters alongside sort of Roberts, Slocum, just one of the first names on the team sheet, because you can see it, he's creative. To have two creative wingers such as Cal Roberts and Ruben Rodriguez, and then you've got your backups, you've got Enzio as your backup. I mean, you can't really complain at that. So yeah, Ruben Rodriguez, it has to be now. He's proven that he can put that performance in and change the game. So yeah, left mid, Ruben Rodriguez. Central midfielders. Now, we went for a bit of a change up here. We think that Reeves should sort of stay in the squad. Not that Doyle didn't have a good game, but we would like to see Wolf make an appearance, because, you know, we was talking to a Barnsley fan, and he was sort of saying that he was good at Championship level. He could probably play very well at League One level. He was surprised that he dropped right down to coming into the National League. So I will be very interested to see him come in. So in central midfield, we've gone for Reeves and Wolf. Can't really see it happening, but it would be nice to sort of see that partnership with obviously Reeves sitting in front of the defence and maybe Wolf given that sort of freedom in the middle behind the strikers. Up top, Wotton and Eli Sam. Wotton's just, you know, he's on fire. He scored the 2 late winners for us that we've had already this season. He's on fire, I think. He's come back from, obviously, from what we now know, having the coronavirus, and his form hasn't dipped or anything. He's been fantastic. The only thing I would like to see him sort of, I don't know, sort of change his game a little bit, because I feel like it's becoming a little bit too easy for defenders to pull fouls against him. So if he can change his game in that respect, then I think he's going to have a great season. He'll be well up there for top goal scorer. And Elijah Sam, he impressed me like so much against Chesterfield. The way he shielded the ball, yeah, he's fast as well. His turn of pace to say is, what is he, 6'5", 6'6", something like that. He's very, very quick. You know, he's strong. Coming up against him, you're not fancying your chances. So that is the squad. Now, I don't know how this game is going to pan out. I don't think I've ever chosen not to lose. I don't think they're going to lose. You know, it's our first home game in what feels like an eternity. I'm going to go for 3-1 Notts. We're going to, if we get a similar sort of lineup than what me and Tom have picked there, I can see a real battering, because there's some players there that need to prove their place. And I'll hand back over to Tom for his prediction.
Prediction for the game then. I've already discussed in the stats that they're a free scoring team, but they also concede a lot. And I did go along the lines of saying that if we're going to win, the key might be to just outscore them. And I'm going to go completely against that, and I'm going to say Notts are going to win 2-0. I alluded to no clean sheets in 4. Fifth time lucky for me for Notts. I really do think we're going to keep a clean sheet this Friday. It's coming not since the Sutton game, when we actually defended pretty well, have we kept a clean sheet. I wouldn't mind seeing Chickson back in. I wouldn't mind seeing Graham. I just think Ben Turner wasn't fantastic against Chesterfield, and Graham deserves to play, doesn't he? We know he's a good player. But I'm going to go 2-0, and I'm going to go for Kai Wotton to get both. I think he's on absolute fire. I want to see us really go for this. I want Wotton to start. I want Rodriguez to start. I want Roberts to start. I wouldn't mind Elijah Sam starting. We've got the players in this league to absolutely dominate teams. We need to start showing it. We need to not be dominating for 20, 30 minutes at a time. We need to be consistently dominating for 70, 80 minutes. You're not going to get a game of football where you just wipe a team out for 90 minutes. We need to be dominating, getting 2-3 goal leads. We've shown we're capable of it, but can we now put consistency together? And I think after that fantastic late comeback against Chesterfield, I think we will.